right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. Now, we are, for some classrooms, just days away from the Christmas break. For others, I know we have through till next week a lot of Canadian classrooms, but we have tons of live content coming your way before we hit that holiday break. So if you visit exploringbytheseat.com, you can find all kinds of exciting events that you can visit with your classrooms. Tune in live to our live event next week with South African penguins and sand cob. As well, we still have a whole collection of big cats events still to come over the next 7 to 8 days. So you don't want to miss those. So you want to check them out. We are really lucky to have Steve Winter joining us today. So Steve has been charged by rhinos in India, stalked by jaguars in Brazil, charged by an 11-foot grizzly in Siberia, and trapped in quicksand in the world's largest tiger reserve in Myanmar. He's an award-winning National Geographic photographer specializing in big cats, and he really strives to not only show and excite people about the natural world, but also to give people a reason to care and want to protect our amazing big cat species. So I'm going to bring Steve in live with me right now. Hey, Steve, how you doing today?
Everybody. Hi, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, Steve, we're thrilled to have you. We have classrooms across Canada and the U.S. joining us live today, and I bet they're going to have lots of questions for you. But before then, I know you've got some cool stories to tell us.
All right, great. We're going to start off with the fact that I wanted to be a National Geographic photographer since I was 8 years old. And a lot of people ask me, how did you get started with big cats? And I always say, I didn't choose big cats chose me. And it was on my first wildlife story for National Geographic on the resplendent quetzal, the sacred bird of the Maya and the Aztecs. I was doing this first story in a cloud forest in Guatemala, where every day I would put my lens and tripod and focus on this nest. And we were in a cloud forest, like I said, on top of a mountain in Guatemala. And every night when I would walk up back to the one-room shack where I was staying, I felt like something was following me, and the hair on the back of my head would stand up, and I'd look around and nothing was there. And one night I'm all alone in my bed at night in this one-room shack reading my book when all of a sudden I hear the stairs creaking. Then I hear the floorboards creaking. Then I hear scratching under the door. Then sniffing. All the hair on my whole body stood up. I grabbed the walkie-talkie to call the naturalist I was working with, Juan Carlos. And in Spanish, I told him what was going on. And he said, Steve, don't worry. It's just a black panther. And I figured that's the night that big cats chose me. But I did ask Juan Carlos, how come in 5 weeks that I've been here, you didn't bother to tell me I was with a black panther? And he said, Steve, we didn't want to worry you. And if anybody would have told me my next story would have been on jaguars, I would say, you're crazy. I don't know anything about big cats. But I went down to Brazil, and I went to a place where you could see jaguars that was full of many different other kinds of wildlife, including these giant otters. It was called the Pantanal. It's the largest inland wetland in the world with 3 parks full of rivers. But it's also a place, when I went down, I found out it was 95% privately owned, mostly cattle ranches. And most of the cowboys then thought the only good jaguar was a dead jaguar, because every dead cow they thought was killed by a jaguar. I mean, I'm working with a scientist down there, a Brazilian scientist. Her boss was my best friend. I convinced him we should do a study to find out whether this was true or not by putting GPS satellite collars on the cats, so we knew where they traveled. Every day they would send signals to a map on our computer, on the science computer, because we didn't want jaguars to end up like this, a jaguar rug in a ranch house, or this 12 jaguars killed by one man in 12 months, all supposed cattle killers. Now, when the project got done, they found that only 1% of cattle deaths could be attributed to jaguars, which started to change people's ideas about jaguar and help to save them. And that's my goal. And part of what we're going to talk about today is impact journalism. When you find a problem, you help find a solution. So we're not just doing a story with pretty pictures to tell you about jaguars. We're actually, hopefully, going to make a difference. 9 years later, I went back to this area and found out most of the cattle ranches in the area were now ecotourism lodges. Excuse me, because they could make more money off of ecotourism with jaguars and birds than they could cattle ranching, which meant that these jaguars were safe. Now, the only way back then you could get pictures of these jaguars or many invisible cats that don't want to be seen is to put up a receiver and a transmitter, camera trap, linked to a camera. The animal breaks the beam, it takes a picture, and off the animal goes. That is called a camera trap, and I use those for part of what I do. Like this, a young jaguar walking up a tree branch gets its picture taken and is a 3-page opener in the second jaguar story I did for National Geographic magazine. Now, in 2017, a new study was done that showed that each cow is worth $2,000 in its whole life. But every year, each jaguar in this area brings in $108,000 every year in ecotourism income. So no one would ever harm a jaguar in this area. So it's an oasis for the jaguar throughout its range from the U.S.-Mexican border to northern Argentina. So that is great. Now, the only way you can see jaguars is we use boats, and the drivers are able to spot them. They're on the riverbanks, which is cool, and all their food is in the river. The number one food source is the caiman, which here's a cat trying to go after a caiman. And here's 1 minute.
Along the tangled edge of a Brazilian river, a hunter stalks the shadows. He is a jaguar, a male in his prime. Those who know him call him Scarface, from a wound he earned clawing his way to supremacy.
You can see he's looking for food here. The number one food source is the caiman, which looks like an alligator. It's a kind of gator. There he goes.
He is the top predator in a land of predators, the best of the best.
And that was the Nat Geo Wild film, Jaguars versus Crocs. Bertie Gregory and I did that. That was filmed by Bertie. I did the stills. Right here, the jaguar is the only cat in the world that kills by piercing the skull. And I got a picture of mom and cub finally, which is something I really, really wanted. Jaguar trafficking and poaching is now rampant, all for just 4 canines. And this is happening in certain countries in South America for trade in the Asian traditional medicine market. I did snow leopards. This image won me BBC Wildlife Photographer of the Year. I never entered a contest because I figured I already won since I was living my dream as a National Geographic photographer. But I found the story starts on the pages of National Geographic. And when you win an award, millions more people see your story. And it's important to work with local people. They need to benefit for living with predators. So I work with local non-governmental organizations to build predator-proof corrals like this one here to help their livestock because they rely on their livestock Or here I brought in vaccine and this vet in front of you to start a 3-year program to vaccinate the animals. They were losing 30% of their animals per year. And for 3 years we ran it, then they took over, as long as they promised not to kill snow leopards. So you're putting 30% more money in the villagers' pockets, and snow leopards are being saved at the same time, which is great. There's a snow leopard right there with all the mountains of the Himalayas in the background. Now, I also did the first cougar story for National Geographic, which became very, very important to my career. And for cougars now are seen in many urban areas. So I went to a mountain lion meeting to meet this man right here, to ask him. Jeff Sikich of the National Park Service works on mountain lions right north of Los Angeles. I asked him how I could get a great picture of an urban cat, and I thought, would it be possible to get a picture of a mountain lion with the Hollywood sign? He said there was no mountain lion in Griffith Park here in LA. And I said, let me know when there is. 8 months later, they got a picture of a mountain lion down in the lower right where that cross is at on a trail cam. And then I went and put cameras up and figured, how would I put cameras up in downtown LA without them getting stolen? I got a picture of a bobcat, then a deer, then a raccoon, then a guy walking his dog, then a guy going, what's this? And then people doing a selfie they'll never see because it's my camera. And then after 11 months, I got one of the pictures I wanted, which was a mountain lion with the lights of LA in the background. And then they put this on the cover of the LA Times. And then the scientists that I was working with had to go on every TV station to calm everybody down, say no one's ever going to see this cat. And in 10 years, only 7 people saw it till the last month. P22 is his name now. He's a celebrity in LA. He was just captured yesterday. They're doing a complete medical workup on him. And then I did some video for Nat Geo Wild, and this ran on Planet Earth. There he is. He's never seen white light before. P22 with the lights of LA in the background. And then it pays to get these big ideas and get pictures you never thought you'd get. Because at 15 months later, I got this picture. And because this picture, it sparked a huge movement in the LA area. Now there's a P22 day. Wildlife corridors and wildlife are taught in all the LA school districts. And now they're building and broke ground last April on Earth Day for the world's largest wildlife overpass. So this shows the power of photography. I'm very lucky to have worked with tigers in my lifetime, the world's largest cat and the world's most endangered cat. 120 years ago, there were 100,000 tigers roaming 31 countries. Today, there's only 4,000 tigers in about 8 countries. So it's been my privilege to work with tigers and help find a way to save them because they're under threat by poachers. But luckily, poachers are in many parks in India are captured because tiger poaching really ramped up in the 1980s when the rising middle class with more disposable income started buying tiger products for the traditional medicine market. But today things have changed from health to wealth. The wealthy in China are using tiger products as status symbols like tiger skin furniture or tiger bone wine. Local people need to benefit from living with these predators, whether in Africa and in South America or in India. So they can get jobs with the ecotourism companies, working for the parks, so they benefit from living with these animals. The only place you can see tigers is India. It is dangerous because one of the first things I do is put my camera traps up, all that. And because they're working 24 hours, 7 days a week, here's a bunch of pictures put together of 3 14-month-old cubs. And that's pretty incredible. But I have to be on the ground to set these up, and they take me hours to put up. I also got an incredible picture after 24 days. We need the time to get pictures people have never seen before. I had 28 days to get a picture. On the 24th day, I saw the cub nursing, and this is the picture I got. And it was it is the cover of the National Geographic Tigers Forever book, written by my partner and wife, Sharon Gaina. I wanted to go to Thailand to cover the subspecies, because this was a project. Most subspecies are dropping because there's a lot of poaching. And while I was there, I heard about this place called the Thai Tiger Temple. And everybody told me not to go, but you can go there and get selfies with cubs or bottle feed cubs. And people were saying that they thought that the place was involved in the illegal trade of tigers into Laos, Vietnam, and China. And here was a video that I did. My wife wrote 4 articles. Here's a little bit of what we found.
This is all being done at night. Pitch black. There are no lights.
You see the cars driving into the Tiger Temple and the staff workers that are helping the wildlife traders.
In December 2014, at the famed Tiger Temple in Thailand, investigators say a group of animal traffickers botched their late-night tiger heist. Our sources tell us they were supposed to take unregistered tigers, like they had before. But instead, investigators believe they took these 3 tigers with names and a paper trail.
So Sharon wrote 4 articles, and every article the Thai government got more and more information. And after the 4th article, they went in with the army and the police and found that the place was involved in the black market trade and shut it down. And these are the kind of stories that we want to do, things that make a difference. We shut down one of the biggest, or at the time, the biggest wildlife tourism place that was involved in the black market trade in all of Asia. Now, how many people knew before Tiger King that the U.S. has more tigers in cages than there are left in the wild? Well, Sharon and I did a story 4 months before Tiger King about this. It was a 30-page story in the December 2019 issue of National Geographic. Now, until last week, there was no laws regulating big cat ownership in the United States. It was a very lucrative business. You would go to county fairs, cub petting places. Here was one guy had tigers in a fenced area on his property, and then had cub petting. Doc Antle, as he was in Tiger King, was the biggest tiger breeder in the United States. They would take the cubs away at birth, and then they would only be able to use them for 3 to 4 months. And what happens to all these tigers after their use date? Where do they go after they're 4 months old? And it costs $500 a person to go into Doc Antle's tiger show. And these cubs are thrown away after 4 months. They're taken away from their mothers at birth. They get all kinds of diseases, and it's really inhumane because they just disappear. And after 2-year investigation, we still don't know what happens to the majority of them. U.S. Fish and Wildlife eventually caught up with Joe Exotic. He said he had killed 5 tigers to make room for 5 more. This is a picture I got at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife office in Oklahoma when they dug up those skulls. Joe is now in jail, and every one of the people that we worked with is either under federal or state indictment for animal trafficking or money laundering or many other different charges. You can see it's chaos with these cats. people are still allowed to have cats. But as of last week, the Big Cat Public Safety Act was passed by the Senate, and it's coming to the desk of President Biden. This was a photo illustration I did. What happens when a hurricane or tornado knocks the fences down of one of these big cat areas? What happens? First responders are left to deal with cats. They end up in abandoned houses or something like that. I thought this was going to be much safer story than the working with big cats in the wild. But this tiger here just wanted to play with me, got away from the woman who happened to be on the phone. I always wanted to know what was more important than her helping to stop this cat from jumping me, because she's still on the phone right now. But luckily, he just wanted to play and nothing happened. He had his claws, but he didn't even make a scratch on my coat. And what happens to these animals after they're saved? They go to sanctuaries where they live for the rest of their life, and with vet care and great food. And we need to save big cats, because 40% of our oxygen comes from the green areas where all big cats live throughout this earth. We get our air, water, and food from the homes of the big cats. So I always say, if we can save big cats, we can help save ourselves. Thank you very much.
All right. Steve, thank you so much for taking us into those stories and showing us some amazing examples of how photography, how video and other media can be used to tell stories, and then real concrete things happen. Those laws being passed, those animals being rescued. A lot of the work that you and your wife have done, and many others, of course, have shed a real light on some of the animal trafficking, especially the big cats around the world.
I didn't hear the first part of the question.
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It's just saying thank you for sharing those stories with us, Steve, and showing us how photography and video can really shed a light and tell a story and make change happen.
No, it was really wonderful in the last week that the Senate passed that law, and the outpouring of support of people that work on the Capitol Hill trying to push the law, and saying so many senators and House members said the biggest influence they had was to read Sharon's story and see the pictures, because there's no way you would see this, normally.
All right.
And so it makes you feel good that you're able to have impact.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, we're going to start some questions with the students in just a minute. But while you were presenting, I made a little Kahoot quiz for the students behind the scenes. So we're going to let the students compete against each other and see who comes out on top in our big cat quiz today. So for those who are tuning in with us, whether you are live with us on camera or on YouTube, if you go to kahoot.it, it's going to ask you for a PIN number. And I have the PIN number here at the bottom. I'm going to share my screen as well, which will show you the PIN number again. So here we go. So there it is. If you go to kahoot.it and use that PIN number, 7060970, it'll bring you into the quiz. Now, if you have something at your desk, maybe you have an iPad or you have a Chromebook, then you can join right there. If not, then maybe your teacher can put it up at the front of the room, and then you guys can yell out your answers, which one you want him or her to pick. So there's 4 questions in total today, 2 true and false and 2 multiple choice. If you get the right answer, you get some points. If you get the right answer and you do it really quickly, you get even more points. If you put the wrong answer in really, really fast, well, we got nothing for you. You got to get the answer right. And then the quicker you do it, the more points you will get. So looking at our animal names, they're generated automatically, but I see the balanced jaguar. So we do have some big cat names popping in there. That's cool. I also see the inspired elk, the lively lizard, the inspired swan. Very cool. Lots of animal names. And we'll give it maybe another 30 seconds because I still see students and classrooms joining. And then we will jump into the quiz. 20 seconds for each question, 2 true and false, 2 multiple choice. And if you are listening to Steve's talk today, you will be well equipped and ready to get those answers in. All right. I think the students have, oh no, there's the hero jaguar. So another jaguar sliding in there. 10 more seconds and we'll take things live. Oh, the diplomat lions. We have a few big cats. Okay, here we go. The knowing cheetah. I want to start, but we still have students popping in, so I'm going to give them another couple seconds. We don't want to leave anybody out. If you pop in a question late, that's no big deal as well. I'll still let you in. The Arctic octopus. That's unique. I don't know that you'll find too many of them out there. All right, here we go. All right, our first question, a little bit about Steve. How old was Steve when he decided he wanted to be a Nat Geo photographer? Was he 5, 8, 10, or 17? How old was Steve when he knew he wanted to be a photographer with National Geographic? 5, 8, 10, or 17? All right, good job, crew. Most went with 8 years old. And Steve, I think that really highlights if there's something you're passionate about, something you want to do that you just have to, you have to go for it and work towards your goals and good things happen.
That's what I always say is to follow your dream because it takes, you have to stick to it. But I followed my dream and I've been living it for 25 years, so that's great.
All right, we've got the polite kitten in first place right now, but lots of time to go. And I see the balanced jaguar sneaking there in third place. So a true and false question. The Pantanal is the world's largest inland wetland. So Steve talked about it. It's in Brazil. True or false? It's the world's largest inland wetland in Brazil. Got about 5 seconds left on the clock to lock in your answer. All right, no fooling these students today. The bulk of them went with true. And if we take a look at our leaderboard, the tropical bee is now in first place, but the rapid lion is right in behind. So we have another question here. Then what is the #1 food source for jaguars along the rivers there? Was it anacondas? Was it the tapir, the caiman, or the capybara? So in that large wetland in Brazil, was it the anaconda, tapir, the caiman, or the capybara? All right, good stuff, crew. We know it was the caiman. We saw that great video of that takedown of that caiman. And Steve, the big cats are battling it out. We've got the rapid lion in first and the balanced jaguar in third.
All right, the lion's back up there.
So we'll see what happens. It's all going to come down to this true and false question. Tigers are the world's least threatened big cat species. Is that true or is that false? Tigers are the world's least threatened big cat species. Got 5 more seconds to lock in that answer, and we will see who is on our podium today. All right, good job, crew. We know that's false. Steve told us today they're not only are they the largest of the big cat species, they are also the most endangered, the most threatened with extinction. So our podium, in third place, we've got the friendly otter. In second, we've got the rapid lion. We've got some big cat representation. And in first place, the Amazon egret. All right. Good job, crew. Thanks so much for playing along with us today. And now we're going to change gears entirely, and we're going to go to a little Q&A action here with Steve. So if you are tuning in via YouTube, use that chat sidebar and send us in some questions. But we'll get started with some of our camera classrooms. So the first group that I want to visit today, we're going to go to Belleville here in Ontario, in Canada. We have some second and third graders hanging out with us. Let me bring them in. I bet they're nice and loud. Hey, everyone. How are we doing today?
Good.
Good. Hey, everyone. Good to see you.
That's us. How are we doing? Hi. Where do I see myself?
All right. We've got a big cat question for
Hey,
us.
everybody.
Okay, thank you guys.
I have a question. I'm here.
Sit down.
Okay, you got to sit down so we can hear that question.
Who has a question? Arya.
Where am I?
Arya, do you have a question?
How do you get so close to the animals?
Oh, did you hear that, Steve? How do you get so close to those big cats?
Well, we get close to them because big cats, when we're in the field, don't really care about us. You know, you drive by in a Jeep and they see the Jeep, and they don't, as long as you don't get out of the Jeep, you're safe. So we can get very, very close to the animals in many different ways. So very good question, though, because you may wonder. And also, I'm using remote cameras for a small percentage of this. And so those look like that's what I want, is this very intimate eye-to-eye portrait of the animal also. But there's sometimes I get so close, I feel like I'm too close. But they don't care. They don't bother us. We're not interesting to them.
All right. If you want to unmute that mic for us one more time, we'll steal one more question before we bring another class in. You have one more. It looks like there's lots, but we'll take one more for now. You'll just have to unmute for us. We can't hear you right yet.
And while you unmute, I just want to show everyone our new book. And while you unmute, I just want to show everyone.
Very cool, Steve. Is that out now?
It just came out. It's by myself and Sharon. The Ultimate Book of Big Cats by National Geographic Kids.
Very, very cool.
I just thought I'd fill some time there until they got unmuted.
All right, 2 3s. One more question. Who's got a question?
One more question.
Ron.
Jenny, Lincoln. Sorry, a boy. Lincoln.
Have you ever got attacked?
So, Steve, the students are curious. Big cats, have you ever been attacked? I know we saw kind of that one video where the tiger played with you.
Right. Well, with a tiger or a lion or a leopard or a jaguar out in the field, I come face to face with them and they scare you to death, but you don't live if one of these cats attacks you. But really, they have no desire to interact with us. We haven't been a part of their image search for food for millennia. And also, just think about it. We don't smell like food. We use shampoos with fragrance in them. Our clothes are washed in detergent with fragrance, dryer sheets, deodorants, toothpaste, colognes, perfumes. We don't smell like food. We smell like a chemical factory. We probably stink to big cats.
We're pretty strange. Absolutely.
So I've been very lucky, very scared on every story I do, but I'm still here.
All right. Mr. Markwick's crew is hanging out with us. They are in Sudbury. Hey, 4th graders.
Say hi.
Hey, everybody.
Steve, I just wanted to tell you that your pictures of Scarface have been one of the pictures I've been showing grade 4 classes for many years. So those are amazing. Thank you. And Jace here has a question as well.
Great, thank you.
That you've taken? What is your favorite photo that you've taken?
I always say that my favorite photos are the ones that make a difference and help save the cats. So right now, because they just captured P22 yesterday to give him a complete medical workup, my favorite picture is the Hollywood cougar because it has done so much good and brought the idea of urban wildlife to such a large metropolis as the city of LA and the greater LA area. P22 is a celebrity there, and we all hope for the best for him as he gets older. So right now, the Hollywood cougar.
All right. Great question, Bud. You guys have another one on deck?
Yeah.
We got another one.
Somebody's got their arm up there.
Here it comes.
Have you ever been bitten by an animal?
No, I never have. But the most important thing about what we do as wildlife photographers and being attacked or anything is we have to watch out for microscopic animals because we do end up getting tropical disease, things like that. One of the most important things we need to remember is the health of animals, humans, and ecosystems are linked. And so that's why a healthy ecosystem with top predators like big cats are very important. But no, tropical diseases like malaria and things like that are as far as it goes. I've never been bitten by one of them.
Anyone else? Campbell, come here.
That's
Carter.
You're not eating anything.
All right. We'll squeeze one more, and then we'll jump to another crew.
Then Red.
If big cats go extinct, will there be anything dangerous happen?
Yes, there'll be very many things dangerous happen because, like I said, the health of ecosystems are very, very important. And to have a healthy ecosystem and not throw things out of balance, you need your top predators, which in many instances are big cats. Like right now, the Yellowstone ecosystem in the United States is rapidly changing and coming back to the way it used to be over 100 years ago because of the reintroduction of wolves and grizzly bears. And when you take out a predator, look on the east coast of the United States, we used to have eastern cougars here. Now we have Lyme disease. Well, there was always Lyme disease, but it never jumped to humans or off deer until there were no predators. So around the world, the healthy ecosystems are vitally important. That's why I say if we can save big cats, we can help save ourselves because we live on that green and blue planet and everything is connected. So healthy cats are vitally important. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
We're looking at the news on P22, your famous picture of the mountain lion. We know that they've tranquilized him. What do you predict is going to happen to this poor lion?
I really couldn't say right now. I'm in touch with the National Park Service person that helped me throughout the story. And I got the collar from a grant from the National Geographic Society that P22 has been wearing for 10 years. And I'm going to ask him what's going on. I saw him yesterday. He looked like he'd been beat up, probably by hunting mule deer with antlers. And he looked a little skinny, so they're doing a complete medical workup and they'll determine what happens to him. But he's had an incredible life and he has changed everything about mountain lions in the United States.
All right. Awesome, Sudbury. Thanks for those great questions.
Thank you.
So we're
Great
going to
question. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Texas. We've got some 6th graders hanging out in Texas. How we doing, everyone?
Everybody say hi.
Hello.
Hey, everybody at Hunt School.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, we have some questions.
Go for it.
Have you ever been on an adventure and not found or taken a picture of what you were looking for?
What an incredible question. The answer is no. That's why I'm still working. Because the bottom line is you never give up. You never give up. I've done a lot of stories that have never been done before, but I would never propose them unless I was confident that with the local people and scientists that I was working with in the country that I could be successful. And if it takes a while, like P-22 picture is an example, it took 15 months to get the Hollywood cougar picture. My snow leopard pictures, many of them, I got one frame in 6 months, but I was successful. So you just stick to it until you get the images that you need. And we're trying to always get something my editor has never seen before. What's the next question?
That's you, Parker.
Oh, I was wondering, what is the most amazing thing or place you've ever gone?
The whole world is full of amazing places, and I could never pick one. My next story is on Asiatic lions. They're the lions that we saw in gladiator movies or biblical lions, and there's 750 left. And I'm sure when I go there, I'm going to see one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I mean, seeing leopards in the right in the center of the 8th largest city in the world, which is Mumbai, India, was really incredible. And we did a TV show about that also, and a magazine story. Yeah, we didn't have time to show that today. But everywhere I go, there are just amazing things. And I look for something that will make you, as readers of National Geographic, go, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. Those are the places that I want to go. And there's more and more of that, including my next story on the Asiatic lions in India.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, let's squeeze in one more, and then we'll go to New Jersey.
If you know, I was going to ask, do you know what your next project is going to be?
Right, and that is my next project, or this Asiatic lion. And it's really interesting to know that lions used to come all the way to the Mediterranean. So if you saw the movie Gladiator or read about gladiators, battling out with lions, those lions were Asiatic lions, and they were right around the Mediterranean. They weren't from Central or South Africa. And the Western African lion is more related to the Asiatic. 50% of them live outside of protected areas, and there's very unique behavior. Maybe I'll come back sometime and I'll show you those images in a year or two.
Definitely.
That'd be great.
What do we say, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Texas. Miss Hawkino's 7th graders. How are we doing today? Heading to New Jersey.
Good, we're good. How are you? Go. All right, you can see that.
I would like to know if you have ever had equipment failure when you had the perfect picture.
Oh, that's a good one. Steve, equipment failure. Has equipment ever lost you the perfect picture? An equipment failure.
I think that falls under the category of things that you want to forget. And so there are certain things that, oh, too bad. Oh, definitely. Equipment failure or something happening with one of the animals. I once got one frame of 4 tigers going through a downed fence that the elephants had knocked down. But they pulled out the cord. And so I got one frame, and the second frame would have been incredible. But this happens, but it does fall under things best forgotten. So where in New Jersey are you from? I'm in Hoboken right now.
We're in Woodbridge.
Okay, well, I've lived in Hoboken for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not from Hoboken. But great question. But
Another one.
The best thing about failures like that is to learn from them and be sure it doesn't happen again if you can hopefully make that happen.
Yeah.
So what was your most inspirational photo and what does it mean to you?
He said, what was your most inspirational photo and what has it meant to you?
Well, yeah, you have many inspirational photos, and to inspire, take the word inspire out of inspirational. The photo that inspires people to help create change. And so you could think of the tiger story when I went to the tiger temple and we ran a 2-page picture of those tigers jumping for the tourists. That then led to my wife being contacted by a scientist in Australia to do this undercover investigation that we did on the Tiger Temple to close the largest wildlife tourism place in South Asia. So that to me was the most inspirational picture. Was it my favorite picture then? No. But it brought about an impact and it brought about change. And to tell you the truth, one of the people involved most in the tigers in the U.S. said that story and the video and Sharon's 4 stories that she wrote for Nat Geo on the website is what changed everybody's thinking about wildlife tourism. We didn't learn that till last week when they came out and talked about the passage of the Big Cat Public Safety Act. No one ever told us this till last week. So that's what inspires. The things that inspire you and governments to create change, that's the most inspirational images or video that I do.
All right. One more New Jersey if you have one.
Yeah, Sebastian? Come closer.
Is there any other animals that you've encountered or taken photos of during your adventure of finding big cats?
I think he's trying to say, you've been doing a lot of big cats, but is there any other ones you really like photographing?
Yes, I mean, there's animals that I love photographing. I love elephants. Elephants are family groups run by grandma, the matriarch of the herd. And I love being around elephants. Not always male elephants because they can have a rather poor disposition. But you're around elephants, rhinos, giraffes, hippos, and in Asia, elephants and rhinos also. Many deer species, and the symphony of the forest are all the birds that you hear. So I love that also. People sometimes say, if you would come back as an animal, what it would be. And I always say it would be a raptor, a bird. But just to be out in nature helps take away all the stress of living in the urban areas and away from nature. We call it vitamin N, vitamin nature. And really, take a walk in the woods can do a lot. So I'm very lucky I get to be around all the other animals. And those animals are very important to the health of the ecosystem also. So wonderful question. Thank you.
All right. Great question, crew. I'm going to take one more question here from online before we wrap up. This is from Oregon. Miss Evans' class would like to know, tigers in the wild, what do they spend most of their day doing?
Well, tigers are like, or let's say house cats are a lot like big cats in the wild, or small, medium cat. They spend a lot of their time sleeping. And the other thing about cats is that they're only successful about 1 out of 20 or 25 times catching their food. So they spend a lot of time sleeping, and then when they're hungry, they spend a lot of time going after prey. And like things have changed now, but when we did the last Jaguar TV show, Bertie and I only saw 2 kills in 2 months, and we were out every day. So that's 60 days in those boats, and we only saw 2 kills. I was back 2 months ago in September, or 3 months ago. We saw 5 kills in 6 days. So it's different, but house cats kind of mirror what big cats do, or vice versa. A lot of sleeping, up to 20 or more hours a day.
All right.
Unless they're
Steve, yeah, absolutely. Well, Steve, I want to start off with a huge shout out to you. We love when you come and join us. Thank you so much for those great stories and a great Q&A with our students. The work you do is so inspiring. I can't wait to see the story and the photos behind the Asiatic lions.
Great. Maybe we can show leopards at the same time. We didn't get to those today. You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. And like I said, if we can save big cats, we can help save ourselves. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Let me bring in our classroom. Boys and girls, it's so great to have you today. A big goodbye and thank you from some of our groups. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Tell your schools to get our new book. It's everything you want to know about big cats.
There you go. That would look good on your classroom shelf. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being with us today.
Pages of big cats. Thank you all very much. Have great holidays.
You too.